Hi there, I'm Karen McCarthy, and it's time to Karen-ize. Today we're going to talk about rest. What is rest? Now, we can think of sleep, but that's not the only kind of rest there is. Now, my devotions the other day, it was about Psalms 4:4, and it said, reflect in your heart while on your bed and be still. Or be silent, I guess. Be silent. And then there was the word Selah. Now, Selah does not have an English equivalent, but it kind of means pause, reflect, rest. A lot of times in the Bible, when you see that word, it's saying, look at what we were just talking about, and I want you to stew in that. Let it seep into your spirit a little bit. Don't just fly on by, okay? But rest. God gave us the example of rest when he created the world and everything in 6 days, and then on the seventh day, he rested. Now, do you really think God needed to rest? I doubt it. But he thought it was important enough for us to rest that he gave us that example. Have you ever been so busy working for God that you're not spending time with him? Oh my gosh, I've done that so many times, so many times. And it's like if you're doing things for someone, it's always great, but is it as good as just spending time with them? Like your parents, like my mother when she had Alzheimer's. There was a lot of stuff to do for her, and thank you God, he gave me some amazing people to help me with a lot of that I couldn't have done. But it was not as important to her as just spending time with her or calling her and talking to her on the phone. Got a dog getting ready to come in and get affirmed. they always have to have their little affirmation after they go outside. Anyway, when I'm that busy with ministry, I'm also not taking care of myself. I don't know about you, but that's how I work. I am like a type A personality, I guess, and I am task driven, and I forget about all the other things. I forget about myself. My last thing that I had when we were doing the youth center and getting that off the ground and all of that was involved was definitely out of my wheelhouse, so out of my comfort zone. So that had some issues there. But I was so busy with all the things that I thought needed to be done for that I really was not taking care of myself. I was good stress, bad stress, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's the stress of doing a grant, getting it done on time, all of that kind of stuff. There's the stress of getting the activities and being involved with the kids, which is a really great stress, but it's still stress. It's still tiring on your body. And I was not paying attention to myself. And I think if you've watched any of my previous videos, by the time I retired, I was very, very sick, and I didn't even realize it because I wasn't listening to my body. So our bodies are meant to have periods of rest. And even if we're doing God's work, if we're not giving our bodies that time of rest, we're going to suffer the consequences, and it's not always going to be good. So sometimes we say, well, I can't take a whole day off. Well, think about how much more effective you are when you're rested than when you're tired. And that day off, or, take a few hours on a couple of different days. If you've got the kind of schedule where you just don't have any full day that you can take off, take that time to give your body, your mind, your spirit that rest. So what can rest be if it's not sleep? We're not talking about sleep. Although, if you're not taking the other kind of rest, odds are you're not going to be sleeping very well. Because I don't know about you, but when I am overtired, you would think, people will say, oh, I'm so tired today, I'm just going to fall in bed and I'm going to sleep all night. Well, I don't know if that happens with you, but it doesn't happen with me. The more tired I am, and I'm not just talking physically, I mean just mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that, the more my brain just won't shut down enough or my thoughts, not my brain. My thoughts won't shut down enough for me to get some nice rest at night. So anyway, so this other kind of rest, what is it? It can be so many things. And please put some in the comments because I'm not catching them all. It can be studying the word. It can be exercise. It can be doing your hobbies, watching a movie or a TV show, spending time with friends, just sitting quietly. That's a really hard one for me. Just to sit and not do anything is hard. And that's why God gave me a verse a long time ago, Psalms 46:10, be still and know that I am God. And he brings that be still because I have a tendency to have trouble just sitting still and just relaxing. So anyway, I lost my place here. Oh, I made a note here. At one time in my life, when I was a foster parent, and even when I was a parent earlier in my life, my time of rest, a lot of times, was just taking a book into the bathroom and having a nice sit or a soak in the tub, especially after they had gone to bed. You know, when you're working a full-time job and you have kiddos at home, there's not a whole lot of rest time. But even if you can just take it for a few minutes, and I remember two of the kiddos I had were siblings, and I kept trying to get up earlier than them so I was doing a blog online at that time and do my time with God that I turned into my blog afterwards, and other things like that. And they just kept getting up earlier with me. So I finally went, you know what? They just want to be with me when I'm up. So I said, okay, this is my quiet time. So you bring something, you can sit in the room with me, but it's quiet time for all of us. And they really enjoyed that. You know, it was a good time for all of us. So anyway, spending time with God in Bible study, listening to worship music, just laying or sitting back and being still before Him is one of the most refreshing things I can do, even if it's just for a few minutes. God doesn't expect us to always be busy running around doing good work. As with any relationship, time alone with Him is what builds and solidifies our Christian walk and kind of shores up the foundations of our life. So if you're saying, oh, that sounds really good, but I don't have time for that, start with 5 minutes. Put on some relaxing music, sit back and close your eyes for a few minutes, and you will be so much more productive and effective afterwards. Now, I have a few scriptures. Let me see here about rest. The first one, and if you're at all familiar with the Bible, these will probably be very familiar to you. Matthew 11:28-30 says, "Come to me, all you," the dog's very distracting. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And then Psalm 23:1-2, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters." I kind of like how it says He makes me, because a lot of us, we have to be forced. I don't know if that's how it was meant that way, but I kind of get to Him saying, I'm going to make you lie down for a while. And then Psalm 91, I love that whole chapter, but verses 1-2, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." I get chills. Rest in the shadow of the Almighty. "I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust." And then last, Hebrews 4:9-10 says, "There remains then a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their works, just as God did from His." So there we go. So if you haven't given yourself some rest time, just make sure that you do, because it's so important. God bless you, and I will talk to you next time. And by the way, if you are a subscriber, I just want you to know how much I appreciate what you're doing to help me grow my channel. These comments, shares, all of those things, and subscribing if you haven't already, all of those things really help, because I really want, especially the Wednesdays. Wednesdays, I think, are so important. There's people out there that need to hear what God is telling me to speak on, and I would love it if you would help me to share these to other people. So I will see you on Friday when we're doing crafting. Have a great one.